Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to do part 2 in the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Magic spoilers. There were some new cards that came out since yesterday's videos, so we're going to go over those real quick. Thank you for all the support. Alright, so here are the new cards. We got Long Rest, a rare. 3 green and X. Return X target cards with different mana values from your graveyard to your hand. If 8 more cards are returned in this way, your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. My thoughts on this card. It's a bit expensive for what it does. Yeah, it's just really expensive for what it does. I don't feel like it's going to be very playable, unfortunately. You got to put at least 4 into it, and then you get like a regrowth, basically, which is pretty bad. If you put at least 8 into it, then at least resets your life. You get a bunch of cards back. I'm not sure how I feel about this card. I don't feel like it's very good though. I feel like it's very mediocre. Exile Long Rest. Yeah, very mediocre. Just the fact that you can get so much better value for cheaper. There's just a lot of return graveyard stuff. This starting with the 3 green is what really hurts it. It's just so much to even get to 1. Alright, we got Sudden Insight. Instant for 6 mana. Draw a card for each different mana value among non-land cards in the graveyard. This kind of seems like a worse opportunity. Opportunity's the old one, same. It's another instant that just draws you 4 cards with the same mana cost instant. So I feel like this is kind of a worse one of those, but this could draw you more than 4, but it also could draw you less, so not a fan. I don't think that's very playable, unfortunately. It's just very expensive for potentially not very much of a payoff. That's the same with Long Rest. So, yeah. Alright, we're moving on. Rally Maneuver. Target creature gets +2/+0 against first strike. Up to one other target creature gets +2 defense in lifelink. A 3 mana instant combat trick. Little expensive for a combat trick. The lifelink could be pretty nice. The first strike could save a creature, but holding open 3 mana for combat is pretty hard to do sometimes. Yeah, I don't think that's going to see play either. Spoils of the Hunt. 3 mana instant. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 till the end of turn for each mana from a treasure that was spent to cast a spell. That creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature it opponent controls. Okay, that's... At least it's got a fight. So the very maximum... Well, this is most of the time just going to be a fight. Just a 3 mana instant fight. Which at least it's removal. This +1/+0 thing, you gotta spend treasures. Yeah, it's just too pricey. It is a common though. Alright, let's keep going. Expected Windfall. As additional cost, discard a card, instant, 4 mana. Really cool art. I love the art already. Draw 2 cards, create 2 treasures. I feel like it's a little pricey for what it does. Once again, at least you get 2 treasures. It's instant, but I don't think it's that great. Oh, here we go. The 1-drop rares. This is this is usually where things get a little... I feel like this is where the power always is in these cards. Alright. Force 1 Paladin. 1/1 Menace Knight for 1 black mana. 2 and tap, pay a life, create treasure. Okay, that's cool. 3. Pump 3 mana into it. Target creature is +2/+0 until the end of turn. If mana from a treasure was spent, it also gains Death Touch. It's a decent little creature. It's not really aggro enough for a 1-drop in my opinion. And its utility is very niche, like creating a treasure here and there is alright. You can punch through with Menace potentially buff itself. I don't think it's very good though, unfortunately. And yeah, I don't know if that's even playable. It's okay though. It's not the worst. It kind of, in a weird way, reminds me of Gilded Goose, because well, it's obviously different than Gilded Goose. But basically, paying 2 mana to be able to create mana later is kind of what I think of with Gilded Goose. And this sort of does the same thing, but it does have like an ability to ramp up your top end mana on a black card that can start out on turn 1. There is some potential here with Forsworn Paladin. I'm not going to say it's terrible yet. It's okay. It is okay. Potion of Healing. 2 mana artifact. ETB, draw a card. Sack, gain 3 life. Huh, that's alright, I guess. It's not really useful because it doesn't help your board state, but hey, at least you get to draw a card. Sack and gain life. If you got ways to recur this, it's pretty good. Because you can keep getting it back in play, draw a card, sack, gain 3 life. Just doing that over and over could be pretty good. But I don't know if there's any reliable ways to do that, except maybe with like Emery, Lurker, the Lock, which I think is rotating out anyway. Alright. Demo Gorgon's Clutches. Is it Demo Gordon or Demo Gordon? I don't know. 3 mana black sorcery. Target opponent discards 2, mills 2, and loses 2 life. Okay. I don't think there's really anything to comment on that. Alright, Vampire Spawn. 3 mana, 2/3 Vampire. ETB. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. It's like a mini Gary. Alright, we got this this Hobgoblin guy. Let's click on him, see what he does. It's in another language here. We should have a translation. Alright, well, it is 3 mana, including 1 red. Creature. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Nice. Red and tap. This. I'm trying to figure out what his name is. It's like Senior de los Bandit. It's like Captain Bandit Hobgoblin or something. I don't know. Deals, okay, red tap deals damage equal to the number of goblins that entered the battlefield this turn. Under control to any target. He's not bad. This Goblin Tribe will get to make a comeback. The +1/+1 is kind of good. This red and tap could come into play. I'm not convinced it's super good, but it's kind of cool. And here we are, we're back to where we started last video. So if you haven't seen the one starting with Soul Knife Spy, that's video 1. But these ones just came out either last night or today. So we're going to go ahead and go to page 2 and start going over some new cards as promised. Alright, we already went over these. Looks like some of these got pushed onto page 2. So we're going to skip all the ones we did yesterday already. Okay. Yep, did that one. Oh, these are new. Okay, so we're going to start here with Triumphant Adventure. We're going to see about going to the end of this page. Do appreciate your guys' support. Alright, Triumphant Adventure. White-black, 1/1 Death Touch Human Knight. As long as it's your turn, he has first strike. Okay, this is cool because Death Touch first strike, in case you don't know, kills things before they get to attack back. So this thing can essentially battle any creature and win, but only as long as it's your turn. That first strike. So pretty cool. Whenever he attacks, venture into the dungeon. Oh. This might be the best venture into the dungeon card I've seen because you can pretty reliably attack with him. They're not going to be able to block him easily because they'll lose their creature. So you'll be able to attack basically every turn with him. Yeah, this is strong. This is a strong venture into the dungeon card. He is a 1/1, but it doesn't really matter with first strike death touch. Okay, the flavor on this is already amazing. Froghemoth, a 5 mana green frog horror with trample and haste. He's a 4/4. Whenever he deals damage to a player, exile up to that many cards from their yard. Put a +1/+1 counter for each creature exiled in this way. You gain 1 life for each non-creature. Pretty cool. I really wish the CMC was just a tiny bit lower because this can't really compete with Questing Beast as far as like a slot in your deck. or the 6/6 Gargadon from Core 21. But he's still pretty cool. The Trample Haste and being able to remove stuff from yards. Maybe we'll see him in the sideboard a little bit. Some mono green. I love the picture. This is probably it's such a goofy, fun picture. All right, well, interesting card, interesting design. I've never seen Froghemoth in D&D. I don't know if that's something they made up or if it's in some supplemental monster guide or something, but it's pretty funny. All right, Varus, Silvery Moon Ranger. 1 green green for a 3/3 with reach and ward 1. Now, ward's a cool mechanic that made its first appearance in Strixhaven. Well, as a keyword. Some cards kind of had it, but just it wasn't a keyword. But ward 1 isn't very much protection. It's really easy to get around ward 1. It's just 1 additional mana and you can target it. Alright, let's continue. Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon. Any creature or any planeswalker. Okay. Whenever you complete a dungeon, create a wolf. So this is another really easy way to get those venture into the dungeon triggers. Just any creature, any planeswalker. Alright, he's pretty cool. Or Varus. Not bad, not bad. Zalto, Fire Giant Duke. 5 mana, 3 red. Giant Barbarian 7/3 Trample. Rare. When he's dealt damage, venture into the dungeon. Well, it's huge. 7/3 is massive. But it's very easy to kill with only 3 toughness. So the unfortunate part of this, and probably why it's not going to see much play, is just that 3 toughness. If it was like a 7/5, I'd probably be too good at that point, but I don't think he quite brings enough unless you really... Yeah, I don't know about this card. It's okay. It's okay. I always think that barbarians have a lot of hit points, so only having 3 toughness kind of throws me off. And giant, you'd think a giant barbarian would have a lot of hit points, so having the same amount of hit points as Varus Silvery Moon Ranger seems weird to me. So I know they have to design based on what's balanced too, but I feel like a lot of times the stats and stuff they're putting on these cards is kind of breaking the immersion of D&D. Alright, Hama, Pasha, Bashar, Ruinseeker. I've never heard of this character. 3 mana for a 2/3. It's 1 white blue. Room triggers of dungeons you own trigger an additional time. I guess this depends on how good those room triggers are, whether this is good or not. But it could be really strong to get some double triggers. Dungeon Descent, a rare land. ETB taps for colorless. 4, tap and untap legendary control, venture into the dungeon, activate as a sorcery. That's a really expensive sounding activate or venture into the dungeon, and you can only do it as a sorcery, and you have to tap a legendary creature, and it comes into play tapped. There's you can tell in the design they were like, this is too strong, let's keep making it worse. Make it come in tapped. That's still too strong, make it only activate as a sorcery. It's still too strong, make it cost 4 to even tap. Still too strong, make it also so that you have to tap and untap legendary creature. I think they made this card bad. Yeah, this card seems bad. I guess it depends on how important it is for you to get that venture into the dungeon, but also you have to have a legendary to tap, and you have to tap it during your turn, so you can't even like save it for blocker. Yeah, I think this is terrible. Unfortunately, they just put too many downsides on it. I'm not sure why they would do that. Especially on a rare, this seems like an uncommon. Based on just how many drawbacks it has. Or how many stipulations of things that are going to slow you down and mess up your board state just to get the venture. Yeah, I think Dungeon Descent is not going to be played. Doesn't seem like. Unless you're drafting and you really need that venture into the dungeon. But still, I don't fully know how the venture into the dungeon works, so I don't even know if that's a draft thing. I would assume so. We'll see. Alright. Shesra. Death's Whisper. 4 CMC 1/3 Human Elf Warlock. 2 black green. Alright. It has a couple keyword abilities. Bewitching Whispers. When she ETBs, target creature blocks this turn if able. Meh. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died, you may pay 2 life. If you do, draw a card. Whispers of Grey. Meh. Yeah, I think this is a bit weak for the CMC. The abilities are just too niche. This whole target creature blocks this turn if able. Pretty much need a Death Toucher to make that useful. This whole end step thing, it could. So ideally, in a perfect world, you would bring her out, attack with like a first strike Death Toucher. It would die. At the end of your turn, you would pay 2 life, draw a card. It just seems like a whole lot of things that need to line up perfectly for her to work. So I think for that reason she's not very good. Because most of the time you're just going to get a 4 mana 1/3, which for 4 mana you could get Questing Beast or something. This for 4 mana is not very helpful. The drawing a card could really be helpful though. Okay, it could make a difference if you're able to trigger this. It only triggers at the end of your end step, not your opponent's end steps, only yours. So your opponents are going to be very aware that this could happen and will probably try to avoid it. Yeah, I don't think she's very good. Just too high of CMC. Even if they dropped the CMC, she still would be iffy. If she were 2 CMC, she might start to be good, but even there, she probably wouldn't see play. Alright, you happen on a glade. Isn't it upon you happen upon a glade? Or whatever. I'm not an English teacher. I studied computer science stuff, so maybe you happen on a glade? That's Is that right? Is that someone that's more into English? Does that make sense? That sounds like you your mom gave birth to you on a glade or something. All right. Anyway, let's continue. I just can't. I'm sorry. I just can't help that this to me should say you happen upon a glade. All right. 3 mana instant. 2 and a green instant. Choose one. Journey on. Search your library for 2 basic lands. Reveal them, put them into your hand, or make camp. Return target permanent from your graveyard to your hand. Target permanent. It's okay. It's not the worst card. It's got some modality. Knoll Hunter. 2 mana, 2/2. Knoll. Okay. Common. Whenever it attacks, if you attack with creatures with total power of 6 or greater this combat, put a +1/+1 counter on Knoll Hunter. It's okay. I don't think it's very good, but it's just a common. You find some prisoners. 1 in a red. Instant. Choose one. Break their chains. Destroy target artifact. Okay, cool. So we got Shatter. Or interrogate them. Exile the top 3 of your opponent's library. Choose one of them. Until then, your next turn, you play the card. You may spend mana of any color to cast it. I think this is pretty good. I feel like this is a pretty solid uncommon. Destroying an artifact is a nice utility. And they just never happen to have artifacts. You can still look at their top 3 and there's bound to be something you can use. So I feel like this is not bad. I like it. And given that it's instant, I'm really glad they didn't make this a sorcery. This is a sorcery. This would be pretty bad. Alright, let's go to this one. You come to a Knoll camp. 1 in a red. Instant. Intimidate them. Up to 2 target creatures block this turn, or fend them off. Target creatures +3/+1 till the end of turn. Nothing really to write home about there. Meteor Swarm. X in red, red, red. Deals 8 damage, divided as you choose among X, target creatures, and or planeswalkers. Sorcery. This could be pretty good in mono red. It is a rare. The nice thing here is for 4 mana, you could do 8 damage to a creature or planeswalker. For 5 mana, you can split it between 2. It has some potential. Yeah, it's really only going to be played mono red though, with this 3 red in the casting cost. For the most part. Shambling Ghast, a 1 mana 1/1. When it dies, choose one. Brave the Stench, target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until the end of turn, or search the body, create a treasure. Seems like a pretty good common right here. Something you want to die, getting the treasure's nice, being able to kill something with 1 toughness is nice, or an after combat trick to finish something off with Brave the Stench. Yeah, I think this is a decent uncommon. I don't know if it's really going to be playable, but I feel like it's probably going to see some Pauper play. Alright, Grim Wanderer. 1 in a black for a Goblin Warlock that is a 5/3. Are you sure that's a Goblin? Hold on, let me back up here. I'm looking at this picture, and that doesn't look like a Goblin. It looks like a human. Oh well. 5/3 flash. Cast a spell only if a creature died this turn. Tragic backstory. Huh. Maybe it's the angle of the camera here, but he looks really tall, and goblins aren't normally that tall. Usually they're known to be kind of short. So I'm a little confused about the flavor here, and why they chose to make it a goblin. Alright. Clever Conjure. 2 in a blue, 3 CMC, Gnome Wizard. It's a 2/3. Mage Hand. Untap target permanent, not named Clever Conjure. Activate only as a sorcery. Alright, then we got Air Cult Elemental. A 6 mana 2/5 with Flying and Whirlwind. When it ETBs, return up to 1 other target creature to its owner's hand. CMC is really high, but it does have a nice bounce. Half-Elf Monk. 3 in a white for a 1/4 Vigilance that can tap a creature. Stunning Strike. We are going through a lot of commons here, so we're seeing stuff that's not quite as powerful. Alright, and here we got a 1 mana combo, or 1 mana common, called You're Ambushed on the Road. Choose one. Make a retreat. Bounce a creature you control to its owner's hand, or stand and fight. Target creature gets +1/+3. Yeah, it's not bad for a common. Being able to save a creature or do a little combat trick could be pretty nice. Yuan-Ti Fangblade. 3 mana. Snake Rogue, 2 in a black. 2/2 Death Touch. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. Decent little common there, I think. Yuan-Ti Malison. 2 mana, 2/1. Can't be blocked as long as it's attacking alone. Whenever it deals combat damage, venture into the dungeon. This is alright. 2/1 unblockable that gives you that venture triggers. Could be pretty good. It's a rare too. You find a cursed idol. For 2 mana, 1 in a green, sorcery, smash it, destroy. Or lift the curse, destroy, enchantment. Or steal it. Steal its eyes, create a treasure token, and venture into the dungeon. Yeah, this has some potential. I wish it was an instant, but I think they don't really like doing these dungeon triggers as instants, it seems like. So, it's got some nice modes, though. Destroy an artifact, destroy an enchantment, or create a treasure and venture. For 2 mana, the create a treasure and venture is probably quite good. It seems like when we're looking, based on what we've seen from other costs of venture. Alright, we got Feign Death here. 1 black instant. Until the end of turn, when this creature dies, turn it to the battlefield tapped with a +1/+1 counter on it. Alright. Nice little common there. And we got Bullet, the monster. 3 in a green for a 3/3 beast. beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, put +1/+1 counter on bullet. That's a decent little common there. Dwarf Hold Champion. As long as Dwarf Hold Champion is equipped, it gets +0/+2. It could be decent in the right deck, but it starts out as a 3/1 for 2 mana. But yeah, it would be a 3/3 base once it's equipped, so that's not bad. For 2 mana, it's pretty good. Just got to get that equipment on there. Alright, Bar the Gate. A 3 mana instant with 2 and a blue. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell, venture into the dungeon. So here we go. Here is an instant venture into the dungeon. But you do have to counter a creature or planeswalker to get it. Not bad. I feel like this might see some play. It's cool. Keen-eared Sentry, 1 and a white for a 2/1 human soldier. You have hexproof. Each opponent can't venture into the dungeon more than once each turn. Okay, here we go. I feel like this is not bad. Giving yourself hexproof, slowing down their venture, just all static abilities. I feel like this is pretty good. I do feel like it's a solid card. Alright, Ray of Frost. Please do damage. Please do damage. Stop printing damage spells that don't do damage. It's so awkward. Oh, it doesn't. It just taps things. Alright. 2 mana. Oh, it's an enchantment too. Ray of Frost. Why would this be an aura? I'm not. The flavor they're putting on all these like little spells is off. Why would this be an aura enchantment? I'm pretty sure this is a cantrip that just happens once and does a little damage, and that's it. But in this case, it's flash, enchant creature, ETB. If it's red creature, tap it. If it's a red creature, it loses all abilities, and it doesn't untap during its untap step. It's another flavor fail, unfortunately, in my opinion. Alright, Skullport Merchant, 2 and a black, Dwarf Citizen, 1/4, ETB, create a treasure, 2, sack another creature, draw a card. Another creature or treasure. I don't know, could be okay. Not super great though. ETB, create a treasure is kind of cool. Being able to draw is always nice. Yeah, not super bad. Zombie Ogre. 5 mana, 3 black for 3/5 common Zombie Ogre. Meaning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, venture into the dungeon. Alright, that's okay, cast for common. Mordenkainen's Polymorph, 1 and a blue, instant. Till the end of turn, target creature becomes a dragon with base power toughness 4/4 and gains flying. Decent little combat trick there. Hunter's Mark, 3 and a green, instant. This spell costs 3 less to cast if it targets a blue permanent you don't control. This spell can't be countered. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target the creature or planeswalker you don't control. This is going to be really awkward to use. Hunter's Mark. Target creature you control gets +1/+1. Then it deals damage to something, creature, planeswalker you don't control. If it's blue, this is only 1 mana. I feel like this is pretty good. Feels solid. It's better than most fight cards. If they're playing blue, anyway. If they're not playing blue, it's like too expensive to really use. Huh. Might be a decent sideboard card. Find the Path. 2 and a green, enchantment or enchant land. When it enters the battlefield, venture to the dungeon. Enchant land has tap for 2 green. That seems okay. Fly. Enchanted creature has flying, and whenever it deals damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. It's 1 blue enchantment. Yeah, alright. Crydil of Baldur's Gate. For blue and a black, legendary human elf rogue 1/3. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player loses a life, mills a card, and you gain a life and scry one. That's a lot of triggers. Whenever you attack, you may pay 2. If you do, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Seems okay. A little weak on how much damage. Well, I guess it does end up doing 2 damage if it hits, so. Yeah, he seems okay. Targ Nar, Demon Fang Knoll. With pack tactics. Okay, it's a green and a red, 2/2. Whenever it attacks, if you attacked with total of 6 or more power, attacking creatures get +1/+0 until the end of turn. You can pay 4 and double his power and toughness. Seems okay. It's not bad for aggro. Ideally, he'd be at least a 3/2 when he attacks, and he's going to buff your other guys. Worst case scenario, he's a 2/2 for 2 that doesn't do much else. Yeah, not bad. So oftentimes when you're analyzing cards, you want to analyze like its worst case scenario and its best case scenario and what's most likely. And here it seems like, well, worst case it's just a 2/2 that does nothing else. Best case, it buffs your whole board, and then you can pump him, and it just gets really scary. But most of the time, it's going to be middle of the road there. He might buff a few things, but I don't think he's super great. He's just a little hard to get to trigger into real value, but it could be enough to win the game. I really wish this guy had haste. If he had haste, he'd be a lot better, I feel like. Devoted Paladin, 4 and a white, Orc Knight. 4/4 for 5 mana common. When it ETBs, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance till the end of turn. Alright. Oh, we got a Planeswalker here. Zariel, Archduke of Avernus. Avernus is like hell in D&D. I'm pretty sure. Alright. 4 mana. 2 red, for 4 loyalty. +1 loyalty, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until your turn. That's kind of cool. This is a mythic too. 0, create a devil creature token. When it dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Ooh, that red devil's pretty nice. Just being able to pop those out every turn. I like it already. Creature Factory. -6, you get an emblem with, at the end of your first combat phase on your turn, untap target creature you control. There's another combat phase after this one. Yeah, this seems pretty good. I personally always like any Planeswalker that can just pop out creatures every turn. Yeah, seems good. Seems, I don't know if it's like super good or even all that playable, but it's cool nonetheless. Oswald Fiddlebender. 1 and a white for a 2/2 gnome artificer. It's in the rare slot. Has magical tinkering. White, sack an artifact. White, tap, sack an artifact. Search the library for an artifact. Card with the mana value equal to 1 plus the artifact's mana value. Put it on the battlefield. Then shuffle. Okay, this is pretty cool. It's pretty much a weaker tinker on a stick that you can do during your turn. This definitely has some potential. It's cheap enough. The activation's cheap enough. Being able to search up things from your battlefield and put them directly into play is pretty good. Oswald, I feel like, is going to definitely see some play somewhere. Celestial Unicorn, 2 and a white. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Starts out as 3/2. Okay, I mean, it's a common that is going to grow and grow and grow. We see a lot of these cards where you gain life, you get counters on your creature. A lot of people like to build decks around those, and they end up being pretty strong if your opponent's not running removal, because eventually they get to a size where you can no longer handle them and you have to jump block them, and then you run out of jump blockers. So I feel like this is a really strong common. Really strong common, especially in limited. If you draft it and you get some life triggers, it could definitely win you some games. And a common that can win you some games is always a solid common. Tiger Tribe Hunter, 3 red red, Human Barbarian 4/4. Whenever it attacks, if you had 6 or more total attacking power, that whole deal, they seem to do that a lot in this set. You may sack another creature. When you do, Tiger Tribe Hunter deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target creature. So you can essentially fling one of your creatures at one of their creatures. Yeah, kind of a... I don't like it, really. It's going to be too niche. Like, it's sort of like it's almost like you can force something to block sort of deal, except you can throw it at tapped creatures too. So it's a little better than that, but still only a 4/4 for 5. I don't think it's going to get played. Dragon Turtle, 1 blue, Dragon Turtle, 3/5 flash. Alright. Just 3 mana for a 3/5 flash. It's already really good. What else does it have? Drag below. When Dragon Turtle enters the battlefield, tap it and up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. They don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. I'm not sure how I feel about this. It is a temporary lockdown for 3 mana, but it also locks itself down. Yeah, I feel like it's still decent though. Just the fact that it can tap anything, you could really handle some scary creatures for a few turns, and when it's all over, you still get your 3/5. All that for a 3 mana seems decent. And it can get flyers, which, doesn't make any sense from the flavor, because you're dragging a ship below. Something's way up in the air. Apparently, you can do that too. But hey, this game isn't very good at keeping true to the flavor. It tries. But yeah. All right, let's see. Maybe they're assuming it is a dragon, but it is also a turtle. I don't know. I should probably stop analyzing all these flavors, because either it's impossible for them to get all the flavor right without making the card too good, or they just don't care. And just like, just make it do what it does. Let's move on. Alright, Intrepid Outlander, 1 and a green. Orc Ranger, 2/3. Alright, a 2/3 for 2 is not bad already. It also has reach and pack tactics. Here we go. Whenever you attack, guess what the rest of the trigger says? If you attack with creatures of total power 6 or greater, venture into the dungeon. Ranger's Hawk. 1 mana, 1/1 flyer and white. 3. Tap another untapped creature you control, venture the dungeon, activate as a sorcery. Alright, it's a decent 1-drop, especially if you need the venture stuff. I'm starting to wonder here. Like, we're seeing a lot of named things. Okay, so like this pack tactics always seems to be some sort of trigger where you have to attack with at least 6 power things. But like magical tinkering here, is it always going to be sack and artifact? I feel like they're kind of overnaming some of these. Like there's a lot of these names that... Are they going to reuse these names? Because if they're not going to reuse these names, like what's the point of naming them? They're renaming pack, or reusing pack tactics, but it's only the trigger that is the same. The actual effect is different, so... Alright. Well, I guess it's way easier to say pack tactics than it is if I attack with 6 or more total power during this combat. Yeah, it's way easier to say pack tactics. But like drag below, are they ever going to reuse the word drag or the keywords drag below on another card? I highly doubt it. I don't know, just something that kind of seems weird to me. And why doesn't this one have a special name on its ability? I don't know. Wish. 2 and a red. You may play a card you own from outside the game this turn. This is something that kind of confuses new players. I guess I'll talk about it a little. Basically, it means you can play cards from your sideboard or anything that's been exiled. believe. I'm not 100% about the exile thing, I'm pretty sure. So you can play things from your sideboard or things that have been exiled. A lot of people take this as, oh, I can go to my entire collection and go grab whatever card I want. It's not what it means. But that's what it reads. Like if you read it literally, you know, there's that old saying, if you want to know what the card does, read it. That doesn't really work in this game, unfortunately, which within the context of the rules, reading the card works. But if you just read it blatantly and think, oh, I can literally play a card from outside the game, any card, like literally any card, let me go get my binder and find some. Let me find Wrath of God because I need a board wipe or something, you know. No, it has to be a legal card and it has to be part of your playing setup, so part of your sideboard or something that's been exiled during your current game. Wish. I don't know, pretty cool. It's definitely going to see some play. Cards like this always see play. Hobgoblin Captain. 2 mana for a Pack Tactics 3/1 Goblin Barbarian, and it gains first strike with Pack Tactics. Alright. White, 1 and a black for a 3/2 Zombie Soldier, ETB tapped. Ew, this is a rare. Has Life Drain. Whenever a creature is dealt damage by white dies this turn, create a 2/2 zombie creature and exile that card. So you drain the life out of it and get to turn it into a zombie, essentially. I was really expecting to see some kind of life change, like someone loses life, you gain life, but I just feel like this should be called something like Reanimate. I think whites in D&D can make you lose levels and like drain your life essence, but traditionally in Magic, life drain is known to like deal damage while gaining life. That's usually called life drain. So seems a little strange that they would call this life drain. Maybe that's what the D&D effect on a white is called, like in the monster manual. I'm not 100% sure. This doesn't seem like it should be a rare though. It feels like an uncommon. Battlecry Hobgoblin, 1 and a red for a 2/2 goblin. You can pay 2 and goblins get +1/+0 in haste. Pack Tactics, create a 1/1 goblin that's tapped and attacking. Now this guy could be pretty fun with some multiple combat shenanigans. Alright, Inspiring Bard, 3 and a green for a 3/3 elf bard. ETBs, choose 1, target creature gets +2/+2 in a turn, or you gain 3 life. Alright. Ochre Jelly, X and green. Alright. For a Trampling Ooze. ETB with X 1/1 counters on it. Alright, so like traditional Hydra here. And when it dies, if it had 2 or more counters on it, create a token that's a copy of it at the beginning of the next end step. The token enters the battlefield with that many counters on it, rounded down, or half that many counters rounded down. Alright, so that's kind of cool. If you get this out as like a 6/6, it dies, you come back as a 3/3. Then if it dies again, comes back as a 1/1. Yeah, this could be pretty good, especially if you have something where you need to sacrifice multiple creatures. Because you could essentially... Sounds like you need to get it to at least a 6/6, which would mean you have to pump 7 mana into it originally. For it to... It would be a 6/6, 3/3, and then a 1/1. If you get it to 8, what it's going to be at 8/8, 4/4, 2/2, 1/1. So it's kind of cool. I guess it's one of those creatures you want to at least get to a 3/3, so it comes back as a 1/1 if nothing else, or a 2/2, or to a 2/2 where it comes back as a 1/1. Seems iffy though. I'm not sold on it being good. It does have trample though. Trample's nice, especially on something you can make huge. All right, we got a common Baleful Beholder. Would not expect a Beholder to be in the common slot, but let's see what it does. 4 black, so 6 and a 6 CMC. ETB, choose 1. Anti-magic cone. Each opponent sacks an enchantment. Nice. I love when black can actually kill enchantments or Fear Ray. Creatures you control gain menace until the end of turn. This seems like a pretty good common. Its CMC is really high, so that's the thing that makes it not very good. But the ETB options are kind of cool. Alright, you find the villain's lair. 1 blue blue, instant, foil their scheme, counter target spell. Alright, solid counter there. Or draw 2, discard 2. I like it. Most of the time it's just going to be a counter, but if you're late game and have a bunch of lands in hand, that draw 2, discard 2 might be nice. Alright, we got equipment here. Dueling Rapier. For 1 red, flash, ETB. Attached to a creature you control. Equip a creature gets +2/+0. So decent combat trick that sticks around. 4 to re-equip though. It's pretty pricey. Adult Gold Dragon. 5 mana. 3 red white. Flying. Lifelink. Haste. 4/3. Rare. Flying Lifelink Haste could be pretty relevant. Especially if you're going against like mono red or something. Getting a 5 mana. Gaining 4 life. And getting a board state. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best case scenario or whatever, but I kind of wish it did something else, but flying lifelink haste is not bad. Alright, next up we got Green Dragon. 4 green green. 4/4 flying green dragon. Whenever Green Dragon enters the battlefield, until the end of turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, destroy it. It's poison breath. Now, I don't think this is a very good ETB because your opponent's obviously going to see it coming. Because you got to play this guy, and then you got to attack. And then if they block, you would essentially want to attack with a bunch of little creatures. So if they block and kill any of them, they lose their big blocker too. But they just already know it's coming. Because the way this works, if you play this guy after combat, it doesn't work. Because it looks like it triggers on the damage dealt. If the damage was already dealt, and then he comes into play, it's not going to destroy it. So, yeah. But even if it were the latter case, where it was a little bit better, I still think it wouldn't be very good. So, yeah, I don't think this is very good. As far as like green commander flyers, Hornet Queen's going to always be better than this, I think. This could be really good if you have, I don't know, I guess just a bunch of weenies, but then why do you want a 6 CMC card in a weenie aggro deck? So, yeah, I think this is pretty bad, unfortunately. Alright, we got Black Dragon. 7 mana, flying 4/4, whenever ETBs, target creature and opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. At least it kills something when it comes in, but that's a really pricey 4/4 flying. Alright, Ebon Death Draco Lich. A 4 mana, 2 black zombie dragon with flash, flying. When an ETB is tapped, and it's a 5/2. Whenever you cast this Draco Lich from your graveyard, if a creature... Wait, whenever you cast from your graveyard, creature not named. Oh, you may cast Ebon Dragon Lich from your graveyard if a creature not named Ebon Death Draco Lich died this turn. It's a mythic. Not real sure how I feel about this. I mean, a 5/2 flyer that you can reoccur is not bad, but the reoccur cost is pretty steep. You got to pay a solid 4 mana after something of yours has died, and it enters tapped. It does have flash, so you can at least do it on your opponent's turn after blocking or something. Yeah, I'm not convinced this is good. It entering tapped really hurts. It only having 2 toughness really hurts, but they're probably trying to find a balance because often the graveyard recursion stuff becomes way too strong, way too easily. So I think it's okay design, putting some limitations on it and stuff. But Mythic, I feel like this should maybe be a rare. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Moon Blessed Cleric, 2 and a white for a 3/2 with Divine Intervention. When it ETBs, you may search for an enchantment card and put it on top of your library. Pretty cool. Tutor effect and a body. Not bad. I like it. Book of Vile Darkness. 3 black. Legendary. Artifact. Mythic. At the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. That's pretty cool. You can tap and exile the Book of Vile Darkness and artifacts you control named Eye of Vecna and Hand of Vecna and create Vecna, a legendary 8/8 zombie god token with indestructible. It gains all triggered abilities of the exiled cards. Yeah, I'd like to see the Eye and Hand of Vecna to know how strong this really is. I'd like to see the end trigger. A little steep on the cost as far as 3 black goes. It's pretty much only going to be able to be played mono black. It's cool though. Alright, next up we have Werewolf Pack Leader, 2 green for a 3/3. Already pretty good there. When it attacks, oh, it's the whole Pack Tactics. Pack Tactics, draw a card. I like that I can just say Pack Tactics rather than have to reread this whole thing, so that's kind of cool. Pack Tactics, draw a card. Alright, 3 and a green until the end of turn. Werewolf. Yeah, this creature has base power and toughness 5/3, gains trample, and is not a human. That gets you really close to the Pack Tactics, so that could be useful, but it's a pretty expensive thing to have to pay there. 4 mana for basically 2 more power is not very efficient at all. I still like it. Its base, just 2 mana for a 3/3, and it potentially drawing you cards every attack is quite good. So I feel like this is a pretty good card. Orb of Dragon kind. 1 and a red for a rare artifact. 1 colorless and tap, add 2 mana in any combination. Spend only to cast dragons or activate abilities of dragons. Interesting. Or red and tap and sack. Look at the top 7 of your library. You may reveal a dragon and reveal a dragon from among them, put it in your hand, the rest on the bottom. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Just being able to snag a dragon or help you cast your dragons is not bad. Only problem here is if you don't happen to have any dragons, this basically does nothing. And you could whiff on this second ability of looking at the top 7. But if you get this out quickly, you could potentially cast a lot of the really mean dragons in the format really quickly. So, yeah, this is pretty cool. People are definitely going to be trying this out with their decks with lots of dragons. Alright, 50 feet of rope. 1 CMC uncommon artifact that has all kinds of abilities. Climb, tie, and repel. Okay, I like the flavor already. You can tap, target wall can't block. 3 and tap for tie up. Target creature doesn't untap during its next untap step. Or 4, repel down, venture into the dungeon. Seems okay, pretty situational though. I don't think it's very good. Yeah, I don't think this is really going to be played much. Unless you really need the dungeon thing. Because these other 2 abilities are very meh. This might be better in like a sideboard or something. If someone's running a bunch of walls, but who runs a bunch of walls? So I don't think we're going to see this played much. Alright, Grazelax. Illithid Scholar. 1 blue for a 3/2 horror. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to your hand or to owner's hand. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Pretty cool. Choose your weapon, 2 and a green. Instant 2-weapon fighting, double target creature's power and toughness to the end of turn. Okay, the double could be super big. Or archery, deals 5 damage to a creature flying. Yeah, not too bad. I really wish it were just a tiny bit cheaper to cast. But at least they can kill flyers or be a nice double up on your power toughness, which could result in a kill, especially if something has double strike. So this 2-weapon fighting combined with double strike is it suddenly becomes really excessive as far as how much damage your creature's doing. So I kind of like it. Kind of like the card. I just really wish it were just like one cheaper. So I don't think it's going to be played much just because of the 3 CMC. Now you see a pair of goblins, 2 and a red, instant, charge them. Creatures you control get +2/+0, or befriend them, create 2 red goblin tokens. Not a bad instant. Alright, mana core, 3 and black, for 2/1 flying flash. Oh, 4 CMC for 2/1, even with flying and flash is not too great. Oh, it's a common though, so. Tail spikes. When it ETBs, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be played too much. The CMC is just too high to rely on it as a combat trick of any sort. Alright, Bull's Strength. 1 in a black. Or 1 in a green, I mean. Instant, target creature is +2/+2. And trample until the end of the turn. Untap it. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think people are going to care too much about that. These combat tricks that cost more than 1 are obviously sometimes hard to play or hard to get the utility. The untap could be pretty relevant for some things, but yeah, I don't know if that's too great. Gelatinous Cube. Alright, this is a classy D&D creature. The Gelatinous Cube. 2 black for an ooze. That is a 4/3. It has Engulf, which ETBs exile a non-ooze an opponent controls until this guy leaves the battlefield. Or Dissolve, X in black, put target creature card with mana value X exiled with Gelatinous Cube into its owner's graveyard. Alright, that's some decent flavor. The ETB exile a non-ooze is pretty relevant. It's essentially removal. And you can make it permanent removal. Looks like you could hold open mana and use this dissolve if they try to remove your ooze. So that could be pretty interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see if this will get played much. It seems okay. It's not like super strong or anything, but it's cool. Devour Intellect. Hey, it's an Intellect Devourer. For black mana, you get a sorcery. Target opponent discards a card. If mana from a treasure was spent, instead, that player reveals their hand and you choose an on-land for them to discard. Yeah, right. That's not too bad. The thing is, you're never going to be able to play this on turn 1 for a treasure. So, just telling them to discard a card on turn 1 is not very good because they're just going to discard their worst card and still have the same opening start. But if you actually get to look at their hand, pick their best card, it's a lot better. That might be easy to do late game if you got a lot of treasure generation stuff. So this card has some potential. I don't know if it's much better than the other discard effects we have already, though. Guild Thief. 1 in blue for a 1/1 rogue. Whenever deals combat damage to a player, put +1/+1 counter on it. You can pay 4 to make it not be able to be blocked. Meh. Dawnbringer Cleric. 1 in a white for a 1/3 human cleric. ETB. Choose 1. Cure wounds, gain 2 life. Dispel magic, destroy target enchantment. Gentle Repose, exile target card from a graveyard. Pretty good for a common, all the modal stuff. The Destroy enchantment would probably be the best effect to try to take advantage of. But exiling something that they could reoccur could be nice too. Pretty solid for a common. You hear something on the watch. Well, let me go back to the Dawnbringer. Yeah, pretty solid for a common, but only in constructed, and in like limited, he's basically just a 1/3 for 3. It's going to be really hard to make use of these in constructed or in limited. But in constructed, you could have them in your sideboard, bring them in if you need them. Alright, you hear something on the watch. You hear something on watch. 1 and a white, instant. I'm sorry, I gotta talk about this wording. You hear something on watch. That just seems worded weird. I feel like if you're talking to your players, you would say, while you are on watch, you hear something. Obviously, they can't fit that whole thing in the title, so maybe that's why they worded like that. I feel like they're almost trying too hard with the names of these cards. And it's starting to become awkward. Instant. Rouse the party. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Or set off traps. Deal 5 damage to an attacker. Yeah, not too bad. Having the modal on it helps a lot. But still, it's going to be kind of hard to even find a situation where it's useful. The Black Staff of Waterdeep. 1 blue mana for a legendary artifact. You may choose not to untap it during your untap phase. And for 1 in a blue, you can animate Walking Statue. Another non-token artifact you control becomes a 4/4 creature for as long as it becomes tapped. Another target non-token artifact. Yeah, this could be okay. I don't know if it's very good, though. I feel like the Black Staff of Waterdeep should just do something different. I don't feel like this is a very good effect for such a legendary artifact. Alright, you come to a river. 1 in a blue. Instant, choose 1, fight the current. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Okay, this is already a decent bounce. Bouncing a non-land permanent is good. It could save one of your own creatures. It could remove an annoying threat. It can break your opponent's tempo. So already this is a pretty good common. Find a crossing. Target creature gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked this turn. Yeah, a decent little card there. All right, Cave of the Frost Dragon. If you control 2 or more other lands, Cave of the Frost Dragon enters the battlefield tapped. Tap for white. So, okay, this is a good turn 1, turn 2 drop. Oh, and you can pay 5 to make it a 3/4 flyer until the end of turn. Alright. It's a decent land to add to your deck. Instead of plains, basically. You see a guard approach. Instant for 1 blue. You can distract, which is tap the guard, tap the creature, or hide. Target creature you control gains hexproof until the end of turn. Yeah, not too bad. Being able to tap or give one of your guys hexproof and save it. It's good for a common. Definitely good for a common. And for 1 CMC, it's not bad. Plundering Barbarian. 2 in a red. When Plundering Barbarian enters the battlefield, you can destroy an artifact or create a treasure. Alright. Circle of Dreams Druid. 3 green. Tap to add 1 green for each creature you control. It's a 2/1. Okay, so Gaia's Cradle on a creature. It is 3 green to bring out, which means you can basically only play it mono green. And it's only got 1 toughness. Very easy to remove. Yeah, people are probably going to love this card just because how much mana it could add to your mana pool. But it is also very easy to just deny. If you only have 1 or 2 other creatures, it's not very effective. With 1 toughness, there's just a lot of things that could kill this on demand. Still a cool card, though. Flame Skull. Okay, we got a mythic here. 1 red flying skeleton. Can't block. It's a 3/1. And it has Rejuvenation. Whenever it dies, exile it. If you do, exile the top card of your library. Till the end of the turn, you may play 1 of those cards. Wait, did I read that right? Whenever it dies, exile it. If you do, exile the top card of your library. Till the end of your next turn, you may play 1 of those cards. Oh, I was confused about the one of those cards, thinking there's only one. What do you mean one of those? But it's talking about itself. So you can either play the it again, or you can play the other card you happen to exile. Yeah, pretty interesting. Ooh, we got another mythic, Icy Death, Frost Tyrant. Let's go. 2 white white for 4/3 flying vigilance. When Icing Death Frost Tyrant dies, create Icing Death Frost Tongue, a legendary white equipment artifact token with equipped creatures +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and equip 2. So, a nice 4/3 flyer, 4 mana. That's not super good in itself, but if it dies, you get some equipment that could still help you win the game, especially that it taps. You can tap down something and ruin their blocking state. Huh. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm not sure it deserves a mythic slot. I think they're trying to be very careful with how powerful they make these cards. It really does seem like that lately, which is a stark contrast to what just happened with Modern Horizons. But this is standard Modern Horizons. It's modern. All right, Charmed Sleep. This is a reprint. I'm not going to go over it. Mimic, another classic D&D monster. 2 CMC treasure. Tap, sacrifice Mimic, add 1 mana of any color. It's terrible. It's basically a treasure for 2 mana, which is pretty awful. It is a common though, so I'm not expecting anything super great. Alright, you can pay 2. Comes a shapeshifter. 3/3. Huh, that's kind of cool. I like it as a flavor from a flavor standpoint. Don't think it's very good though. It reminds me of like Jade Statue or something. Alright, Den of the Bugbear. Oh, it's what sounds like we're going to see one of these creature lands of every color. We saw the white one up here. What was it? Cave of the Frost Dragon. Now here's the red one. Looks like you're probably all going to have the same effect. If you control 2 or more other lands, enters the battlefield tap. Taps for red. Pay 4, it becomes a 3/2 red goblin. Whatever it attacks, create a 1/1 attacking goblin along with it. Still land. This one's kind of cool. Just being able to generate more goblins is nice. But you do have to attack with it. And hopefully it survives. Purple Worm. 5 green green. Cost 2 less if a creature died this turn. Ward 2. It's an 8/7. So yeah, you can potentially play this 8/7 for 5 mana. Seems decent. Xanathar, Guild Kingpin, another mythic. No, it's Xanathar. The beholder that's under Waterdeep. Alright, 4 and blue-black. Legendary Beholder, 5/6. Alright, let's read what he does. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Till the end of the turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of the library any time. You may play the top card of the library and spend mana of any color to cast it. So at least this triggers during your upkeep. But yeah, this could be a pretty mean control card, because if you get him out and your opponent can't cast spells once it goes till the end of turn, that player can't cast spells. Looks like, okay, so this triggers during your upkeep. And you say, okay, you can't cast spells during my turn. Let me look at your top card. And you can play that card, looks like only during your turn. So it's going to shut someone off during your turn, which is great if you want to combo off. It's like a free silence on someone, basically. And then you could potentially play their top card. Oh, wait a second. If you get to actually play their top card, you may look at the top card of the library. You may play the top card. So if it's a land, you can put it into play. You can play a land off the top of the library, and then you can look at the next one. So you can essentially keep playing cards off the top of the library until you hit a dud. Or you run out of mana. Yeah, this might be a little too strong. This might kind of mess up some games. At least he's 6 CMC, so it's not exactly easy to cast. It's really cool. This is a cool card. I just feel like it's going to make some people rage that are going against it. Alright, Sphere of Annihilation. X in black, artifact. Enters the battlefield with X void counters on it. Beginning of your upkeep, exile Sphere of Annihilation. All creatures and planeswalkers with mana value less than or equal to the number of void counters on it. And all creatures and planeswalkers in graveyards with mana value less than the number of void counters on it. Okay. That's pretty cool. A big old exile effect. It doesn't have to go around the board or come back to your turn without getting destroyed. So it's a bit of a slow reset, but at least it's a big exile. I think it's pretty cool. It's a cool card. I like Sphere of Annihilation. Decent design, I think. Alright, next we have a 0/1 Kobold rare for 1 mana. Menace. Whenever minion of the mighty attacks, it's pack tactics. You may put a dragon creature from your hand onto the battlefield. Tapped and attacking. Okay, that's pretty solid. Putting a dragon into play for free, tapped and attacking, is always good. So, yeah, pretty cool card. The big drawback is he just doesn't do anything on his own. So if you can't get this pack tactics, or if you don't have a dragon in hand, he's kind of going to be a dead card. But the top end of the payoff is really high, and the low end is really low. And there really is no middle ground. I guess the middle ground would be maybe you can equip him up with something, and at least he's not totally useless. Owlbear. It's a common, 3 green, trample 4/4. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Okay. Actually pretty good for a common. The cantrip is nice. Here we got the blue land. Hall of Storm Giants. I guess they're all halls. Or some kind of lair or den. Or cave. Yeah, they're just like lairs. That's pretty cool. Alright. If you control 2 or more other lands, enters tapped. Okay, it's pretty standard. Tap for blue. You can pay 6 to make it a 7/7 giant with ward 3. Blue control is going to love this, because that's a really big creature. With a, if you're playing like mono blue control, for example, or some kind of control deck, being able to drop a land, and later in the game, once you have the board under control, turn that land into a creature and go for the kill, is often what control decks want. It's something that's really hard to deal with, because, well, and it's got ward 3, so even harder to deal with. No trample on it though, but that might not matter. I feel like this is pretty good. Blue players are going to love this for sure. Alright, Hive of the Eye Tyrant. It's the black lair. Okay. If you have 2 more lands, comes to play tapped. Alright. That's pretty standard for these. Tap for black, or you can pay 4 and it becomes a 3/3 Beholder with Menace. And whenever this creature attacks, exile target card from their graveyard. Alright, 3/3 Menace, exiles something from your yard. It's alright. Alright, the Tarrasque. 6 green, so 9 mana for the Tarrasque. Tarrasque is a dinosaur. 10/10. Tarrasque has ward haste and ward 10 as long as it was cast. Okay, so they don't want you to sneak this bad boy in. They want you to hard cast it. Whenever the Tarrasque attacks, it fights target creature defending player controls. That's pretty strong. So if you can manage to get 9 mana and hard cast this, you can swing right away. There's no way they're going to be able to interact with ward 10. Ward 10 is huge. And it's going to kill something on their board as it attacks. So yeah, this could it's almost like an auto win. If you get to cast it, it doesn't get countered. Which makes sense for the Tarrasque. Pretty cool. I don't see why it doesn't have trample though. Why not add trample to this? Because that makes me, if it doesn't have trample, it makes me think like, you can just throw like the tiniest human or kobold and it'll distract it for like a whole day, which makes no sense for a Tarask. Tarask wouldn't even notice something like that. It would just stomp over it. Which maybe that's the point of the fight. That's to stomp over a tiny thing. I don't know. What do you guys think of the Tarask? Valor Singer. 2 in a red. For 2/3, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creatures +1/+0. Nothing super great there. Tralasara Moon Dancer. Green white. 2/2 Elf Cleric. Legendary. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on her. It's scry 1. Another one of these creatures that buffs with life gain. I kind of wish they would stop doing this. People just love to put all these in their decks with a little bit of life gain and hope for the best. They're just such cheesy decks, and it's just like they're just encouraging them a lot, which I guess is fine, but it also kind of feels like lazy design at this point. It's like, what else do we do? I don't know. I can't think of anything. Why not gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on it? But we already have that on it, on a unicorn. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Put it on there anyway. Make it scry or something when it happens. It's legendary. I just feel like it's lazy design at this point to just keep doing that same gain life, but a +1/+1 counter. There's Evolving Wilds with some new art. That's pretty cool art. And Dungeon Crawler. 1 black for a 2/1 zombie that comes with play tapped. Whenever you complete a dungeon, you may return them from your graveyard to your hand. And that's it for page 2. Alright, let me guys... I'm getting tired, I guess. At this point, you've probably seen me yawn a few times. Alright, let me know what you think of all these new cards. Forgotten Realms. We'll be doing some more of these. Going for at least 4 likes on each of these videos. Dislikes count as well, so if you strongly dislike something I'm doing, that's fine. I'd prefer if you leave a comment and let me know what it is, so maybe I can work on improving. But likes and dislikes and all interaction do help. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.